So I was a credit manager for manufacturers, dealers, contractors, subcontractors. There's pretty much no seat on the bus I haven't held, and every one of them's a little bit different. So if you don't understand the flow of, like if you're a manufacturer, if you're a dealer, whether it's one step or two step, it does make it a little bit harder. So I know we've had a little bit of groundwork here on what's going on in the industry, but this statistic for me was kind of interesting. Think about it. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money out there. And this clicker, just so you know, is counterintuitive. The up button is actually, or the down button is actually forward, and the up button is actually back. So this is going to be a fun treat for all of us. So yeah, what were we talking about, technology? All right, so Craig kind of alluded to Levelset does a really great, they've been doing it since I think 2019. They had this cash payment, cash flow report. And so it's been really cool to pull stuff out. I go into, take a step back. I go into companies now and I get to tell them what they're doing great and what they're doing not so great. And we look at their gaps and their pain points. I also spend a lot of time coaching credit managers, a lot of youth. Super fun, really enjoy it. But you get to go in and kind of see firsthand what some subcontractors, contractors deal. It's all over the board. So when I saw these statistics, and I'm not going to read them to you because you can read it, it's kind of a little bit shocking. I mean, I went into one insulation contractor, and their DSO was 101 days. I think I threw up in a trash can. I mean, I'm like, hold please. It was overwhelming. It took us a year to get them down to 52 days. And they were like, this is awesome. I'm like, no, this still sucks. But it's better than where you were a year ago. And let's talk about some of the stuff you need to accept writing off, which if it's on there from 2006, we're not going to take another run at it. So we're just done. Sorry, I'm also going to tell you, I work really hard to not have the foul mouth that I do. Listen, I know a lot of you have it too. I'm going to try to be good. I know you can't be in construction without going, what? And then a whole bunch of other stuff comes out. This was my favorite statistic. And I circled, here's what contractors and subcontractors say about their profit margin. I'm really worried about those not sure people. They don't know, or they're not sure, or they're under, anybody that's under, say, 10%. It's like, there's like that little sweet spot of people that we all want to sell, but we're all trying to fight for them. So anyway, just some fun things to think about what's keeping you up at night. Go. So if those statistics don't get you, we have all of these other stuff. The economy, interest rates, finance challenges, retention, all of the things that go in there, supply chain, labor, all the things we've been talking about. And then you throw in recession, whether you believe we're in one, starting one, looking at one, pretending we're flirting with one. Every time I listen to an economist, they're different. It's everybody has an opinion. It's like watching the weatherman, and they all get to keep their jobs, and they're always wrong. So, what's keeping you up at night? Well, honey, what's not? And I love when it's like, Thea, you should calm down. You're so angry all the time. I'm like, am I? Do I look angry? Look at what I look at all day. So let's talk about the top trends, sleep depriving reasons. So I want to get a feel for the room. How many of you are subcontractors? No, okay, a couple subcontractors. How many are contractors? Okay, dealers or distributors? Okay, manufacturers? Have not identified as any of the above groups, because there's a whole lot of hands that did not go up. So, how many of you are actual credit managers? You actually are responsible for the credit function in your company. You do the actual work. That's, hello, my name is, give me some money. Okay, how many of you manage that? Okay. You're just going to identify with every group. All right, so I kind of got a feel for what's in the room. So everybody's going to get a little bit of something out of this. As we've mentioned before, I am not good preacher style. If you want to jump in or you're like, I don't agree with that, or I got to talk, jump in. If you talk too long, don't worry, I'll yank the mic back because, I'm a look at me kind of girl. All right, sleep stopper number 1, lack of control. So credit managers across the country say, what do they say? My company leadership overrides or limits my decisions, but I am still held accountable on that carpet when someone's yelling. All right. Why should you care? Okay, if you're managing that function, there's a whole lot of reasons why you should care. It negatively impacts your team, whether you're leading it, whether you're responsible for it, or whether you're on it. At some point, you just get beat down and you're like, I'm done. If you don't care, why should I? So eventually, it will diminish your credibility with the rest of the organization. So there's a lot of reasons why you should care. Now let's talk about what you should do about it, or what you can do about it. One thing you can do is start out by analyzing the situation you're in. I didn't say solve for world peace. I didn't say do everything at once. People change with small chunks. If I try to come into your organization and I'm like, look, I analyzed what I've got going on back there. This is what's happening. Here's the baseline for a good credit department. Here's you. Here's what we can do to fix it. Here's all the things that we can do. And they're like, great, let's get started. I'm like, whoa there, cowboy. Hang on. Let's get the low-hanging fruit. Let's pick like 1 or 2 things, because if I try to get everybody changing everything at once, some of your employees' heads are going to explode like a glitter bomb. It's going to be all over the place. They're just not capable. Not everybody's going to be digging that. So gather the facts, explore and understand the behavior. Why are people doing what they're doing? 9 times out of 10, you go into a 67-year-old company and they're like, well, we've always done it this way. Like, well, I understand that. We've always done it. It works really good, too. You shouldn't try to mess with it. I think we should change. That guy sucks. My stuff's really good. Like, I get what you're saying. And I'm not picking at you. I'm sure your stuff's awesome. So you didn't even know you got picked on. We're equal opportunity abuser. So look at what processes you have that have been around a while. And in the last session, you heard a lot of information about how you can automate things. That's a big thing. I read somewhere, and I'm trying to remember the article, but the digital era that we're in is the biggest impact on our economy and on our lifestyles since the industrial age. And I believe that's true. I'm like, God, that just clarified so much stuff for me. But when I look at some of this, I have to ask, what are my processes? Is it a training issue? Then decide on an action plan. And you got to step it out. Especially if you're the one going to, say you got to report to the CFO or the president or the owner or whoever's, running the ship. If you just go, hey, this sucks and we got to make some changes. He's going to go, okay. What else you got? Because that statement, if you're looking for me to solve your problem, why do I need you? So go with a plan. Work it out. Figure out what do I need to do? What are the steps? What are the costs? Break it down for people. I can spoon feed you a solution. You're super happy with it. Or maybe not, super happy may be an exaggeration, because I'm going to ask you for money too. Then you're going to move forward with the approved plan. I got to get my SLTs. I got to get my senior leadership on board. I got to get them thinking, hey, this is a good idea. This is why we're doing this. And then, rinse and repeat as needed. Go back and let's get the next low-hanging fruit. Sleep stopper number 2. God, does this sound familiar? Technology, or lack thereof. The construction industry is the slowest group of people to embrace technology. Now, here's what's really funny. And I'm looking at all of you people that have the purse strings in your company. You all will spend an ungodly amount of money on a CRM that your salespeople will not use. It's like, I didn't log it in. That's really hard to use. Yeah, it's really tough pulling up that customer and putting a note in. But a credit manager will use it. I'll use it all day. I'll log it in for account review dates. I'll log it in for what their credit scores were, customer notes. I will use that money. Let's give it to people who will use it. However, here's what you hear. I can't get funding. Okay. Let's change the narrative. Why should we care? All of the reasons we just talked about. Managing data for the credit team is a nightmare. Most ERP systems were not set up to account for the kind of stuff we want to grab hold of. I want to be able to have account reviews and know the dates that I did them so I can run a report. So what do you do about it? Again, we're back to you. Assess your presentation style. Also known as, how are you asking? I mentioned, dude, give me some money. Okay, sometimes that actually works because you just beat them down because you show up every day at their door and say the same thing. But what's your approach? What's your demeanor? What information are you bringing? How are you approaching the leaders that hold your purse strings? And that's something I want you to think about. Accountants are weirdos. I can say that because I'm married to an accountant. They think different. CFOs, any CFOs in here? Okay, we can bash on them all day long. They're a different breed. People go into accounting for a reason. They like numbers. They're not so cool with people. They like numbers. Numbers don't mess with you. They don't lie. I can make them say what I want, but they're numbers. So you have to talk to the people that you are getting money from in a way they can understand. Oh, he was just saying that most people don't understand what credit managers do. They think all you do is dial for dollars. It's like, God, your job sucks. Yeah, well, some days, yeah, but not every day. However, I can make or break your company. I have the power seat in this company because it's cash flow. So if there's no flowing in, guess what you can't do? You can't spend it on stupid stuff, like buying $300 bottles of wine for your customers when you could have gave me $300 to buy credit reports. So not that I'm bitter, but I'm just saying. So you've got to build an objective case. And that's one of the big things. Build an objective case of why. And that's, I think, what your point was. Nobody really, it's a squishy job. You don't really get it. So most people don't. So when you explain to them, although my kids think all I do is get on a plane, fly around, eat a lot, and drink, and yell at people occasionally. And I'm like, well, I can do that at home with you guys. But you've got to make it relevant to the team, to the company, and you've, again, got to speak in their language. And then you got to give them choices. Look, here's the whole enchilada I want. I want to be able to automate. I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do all the fun things we just talked about. However, I'm willing to start with a payment portal. With no cash application, we can add that later. Well, why wouldn't we do it now? I don't know. You seem kind of stressed out. Well, okay, let's do it. Before you know it, hey, here's my overarching plan, but here's how I'm going to chunk it out and feed it to you in little bite-sized bits. Because that sounds more palatable. So sleep stopper number 3, collaboration between credit and every other human being in your organization. So credit managers across the country say, my sales team treats me like the enemy. Sales goes behind my back. At one time, I actually asked our president, should I just install signs on my back, like where to go and slow down and get off the grass on my back because everybody walks across me to get to you, and you let them. So you might as well just fire me now because I'm useless to you. And then I'm tired of being called the sales prevention department. Honey, if you want to see no sales go out the door, I can make that happen. If you think your life sucks now, it can get so much worse. However, I wouldn't do that because I'm a capitalist in a for-profit corporation. Doesn't mean I don't have fantasies. I know you all do too. So why should you care? Well, it's a growth killer. If I'm against you and everybody else in the company, it's not going to make me want to work with you very hard. It keeps us from focusing on a common goal. And I'm sorry, I should have said, we'll have this as a PDF for you just so you don't have to take a bunch of pictures. I always intend I'm going to use those pictures when I get home. And then I get, stuck on TikTok watching a cat, ring a bell, and before you know it, I'm done for 3 hours. Lack of common technology limits business information sharing. So, my dream is to have a CRM that also has credit capabilities in it. I don't know why. So where are my software people? There you are, dead in front of me. Can you make my life can you bliss me out over here and build that? All right, you got me. Thanks, girl. And then making sure your goals and initiatives are aligned. If suddenly someone's like, I'm getting I got 50 credit apps this week. I don't know what's going on. Oh, we had an initiative in the Southeast. We're trying to like get all of our, we're going after mid-level companies. It's like, nah, you're sitting in the Lowe's parking lot getting everybody going in for wood. And now I got 50 credit apps from useless guys. But hey, our goals are aligned. You're trying to kill me and I'm thinking of burying you in the yard. Understand the other team's goals. So spend some time walking around your company, just, hey, what's marketing doing? What's sales doing? I've never, for the record, been invited to a sales meeting, and yet I go to all of them. First of all, nobody has the huevos to ask me to leave, because they're like, what is she doing here? And the first couple times they're a little dicey, but then after a while, you become part of the furniture with them and you become part of the conversation. I want to know what's going on, and I want you to know what's going on. So we're collaborating and moving forward. We want to be able to align where we can. In a really long career, I've stepped in a lot of piles of stuff, and I've had a lot of opportunities to go, that was not my finest credit manager moment. That was not my finest leadership moment. But you learn and you hope you get better, and you want others to learn and get better. So, you share your pitfalls. Encourage open feedback, not always cool. I showed up one day and I made this comment to my husband. I said, I am so laid back and easygoing. He goes, who told you that? I said, well, everybody thinks that. He's like, no, nobody thinks that, honey. So I asked both my kids, hey, I'm laid back and easygoing, right? And they're both like, no. So I went to work, asked my team, hey, I'm laid back and easygoing, right? And by now I'm starting to feel a certain kind of way. And they busted out laughing. They're like, you're a lot of things. And we're not saying it's all bad. But laid back and easygoing is not you. I'm not going to lie, it hurt. Because how I view myself versus how others viewed me, very different. Didn't mean it was totally negative, but I had to come to the resolution that I am not laid back and easygoing. But I'm glad that, okay, maybe not my family, but I'm glad that my work life people felt like they could give me that open feedback. Or, hey, I can't carry $30 million all by myself and 800 customers, you're killing me. And we can sit down and resolve it. So you've got to be open that, and then no retaliation. So if anyone's ever worked for that person that they're like, oh no, tell me anything you want. It's like, well, you kind of suck. Oh, really? You have no idea. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. So we would open it up with something, on several different teams I manage, we opened up what we called a challenge session. We would actually say, okay, and I'm wearing glasses and I'm still struggling, Jack. So it's like, Jack, I don't agree with I'm going to institute a challenge session. And that kind of framed the conversation to where it didn't feel so much like an attack, because let's face it, nobody does classes on good communication. You kind of just either have to feel your way out or just go, I gotta be less sensitive. So sleep stopper number 4. Oh my God, lack of people. We have beat this one to death today, haven't we? I mean, we're all kind of like lack of people. So credit managers across the country, I get a really fun job of getting to spend time going from coast to coast and everywhere in between, talking to credit teams of all levels, sometimes team of 1, sometimes, team of 50. And finding qualified people, we all know that's just like a needle in a haystack. Finding anyone for credit, tell someone you're going to do credit and construction, they're like, oh, hard pass. Hard pass. Getting funding, and then finding out, hey, what I have to pay people now versus what my people currently make. I'm now hiring people at higher than what my seasoned people on my team make. And God forbid they find out, and you know what? You can't keep that stuff quiet, because the minute you say don't tell anybody, everybody knows. Everybody knows. So, my team can't keep up with the workload, so you're beating them to death, and you're burning them out. I'm actually doing this clicker okay. The microphone, not so much, but the clicker, pretty good. So why should you care? Well, it leaves you vulnerable when a team member retires or leaves. Low wages limit your availability pool. Nobody wants to work. It's like, look, I can make at McDonald's more than what you're going to pay me, and the expectation is just dump, 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 shake, shake, shake. Do you want, a Coke with that? I can be the fry girl at McDonald's and kill it for what I'm making for you. Waiting until it's critical to hire creates training issues. I can't stay out from underwater if I've got to be training somebody as well, now I'm getting further behind. So when you're sitting there already in that little space, it's really uncomfortable. Overloading employees, and then, impedes the ability to manage your AR. So what to do about it? First of all, get a hold of your HR people. I know the first thing they're going to say is, well, we're on a hiring freeze, or I can't give you any money, or there's no budget in it for you. Okay, I hear you. Okay. So now I'm going to come with a plan, because now I got to show you in numbers and a communication style that I can come out with that whoever's your boss and HR lady or man, that I can get them to approve this. So I got to come with numbers. Look, here's how many credit apps we're going. We went from 48 million a year on our AR to now we're at 100 million. I've got this many customers. This is our workload. So I can do all of this work with what we have. But what do you prioritize? What do you prioritize as the thing we need to do? And I'll focus on that, and I'll put the team on that. But this stuff is going to be in the important column, not the critical column. So this will get done whenever, and this will get done now. And that usually helps reframe it. Again, it's coming at them with a different type of approach. So again, I kind of go through all of these steps, and I'm not going to read them all to you because you all can read just fine. I like to present the alternatives for them. Okay, we can do this, but here's what's going to happen. Here's what's not happening. We're not doing reviews. Well, you got to get it all done. What do you prefer? Sleep stopper number 5, lack of proactive accounts receivable processes, which leads us back to technology and people. So, my company won't even consider a mechanics lien program. I don't know how many lumber yards and contractors I hear that from. It's like, we don't use those. Everyone will be so offended. Seriously? It is 2022, people. They already know about it. And if you survived the Great Recession, you should be rocking a program. For those of you that did not get that joy, and the subsequent ones that came before it, which I got to live through all of those. Remember those, Craig? Those were very fun. Liens are no big deal. Now, part of it is you're used to having the conversations with people about financial statements, liens. Some people are very sensitive about money. I'm not. You want my money? And if I work for the company, this is my money. Then let's have a conversation about it. I got to know you better. So let's get together on this. We won't push for personal guarantees. We won't pay for credit reports. I'm still rocking bank and trade. Now, I mentioned this morning, it's not that I don't like bank and trade. First of all, good luck on banks. And if I'm going to pay $35 for something at a bank, why wouldn't I just buy a report that has all the banking information in it? And then my leadership won't support holding customers to their credit lines. The FOB accounts, everybody knows what that is? All right, the PIA accounts, everybody knows them. So those are the people that are our challenges. So why should you care? All of these same reasons. Being reactive doesn't move the needle. Becoming proactive requires process changes. It requires work. It requires somebody driving accountability. You're changing a credit culture. If you are moving the needle and you are trying to make a difference, you are going to be changing the culture of credit in your company. And if your company's been around more than about 5 years, you have a culture. You may not like it. You may not even know what it is. However, when you start making changes to that, you'll know because somebody will start barking and whining and complaining. You have to keep moving it forward. Being proactive requires somebody to hold the needle and move it forward. And that person is who? Okay, you guys, I know we're like not to booze, but we're past coffee. So, this, I can talk all day, so let's go. It's like, yeah, it's you. If you want to change the culture, got it. If you want to change the culture, you've got to drive it. And it sucks, and it's exhausting. But it's necessary. You just got to enlist others with it. So what to do about it? Set goals, realistic and stretch. How am I going to? Again, low-hanging fruit. What can I change now? Who can I enlist? And if your leadership isn't on board, you are fighting a battle that you probably won't win. And I know I don't want to sound like Pollyanna up here, and it's like, if you do these 5 steps, your life's going to be awesome. It might not. It depends on what you're working with. If you're working with a company that's like, nope, we're totally good where we are, it's like, okay, then these are the results we're going to deal with, and these are the people we're going to have. I'm not saying give up, but you have to start shoving that back at people. And sometimes a little shove, you got to shove a little harder than other times. So you've got to plan ahead, you've got to have timelines, resources, and you've got to take the action steps. Sleep stopper number 6, the team. We're back to people again. Who do I have on my team to take over my role? What are my chances for advancement? Well, you're so good at your job. If we move you, then who will we have there? It's like, great. So what you're telling me is I'm so good at my job. This is my life forever. I'm never going to change. I'm never going to move anything. How can I attract and retain talent if I have no incentives or opportunities? And then how can I grow my team skills when I don't have any time to invest in them? So a lot of these things we've talked about today in depth. So again, we're back to why should you care? Well, you guys can read all of that. Somebody leaves, all of the historical knowledge goes with them. It's like, I love when I walk into a lumberyard and the guy goes, we got this great gal, she's been here for 40 years. She knows everything. She's about to retire though. You should be afraid, but you're not. You're like so proud. She's so good. I'm like, okay, that's great. But when she leaves, now what? There's not a note in the system anywhere. I don't even think there's a notebook with something written down. So again, somebody leaves, you're out of that. And if you don't take care of your team members, I think we talked about that in the last session. Somebody else is gonna. I get 3 to 4 calls a week going, Thea, do you know anybody? Do you know anybody looking for? I don't even care where they live. I don't even care. They can be anywhere. I'll let them stay there. I just need somebody that knows how to work a computer and can make a phone call. It's like, okay, that's setting the bar pretty high, sure. So yeah, it's like, well, what are you paying? What are the benefits? Let's hook you up with some. If you don't take care of them, someone else is going to. So what can we do about it? Well, start where you live. Recognize and show appreciation for your team. We just talked about what employers think you want versus what your actual employees want. And most of the time they want the same things you do. I want to be heard. We did one thing where it's, hey, let's have lunch once a month. We set a lunch up with the boss, the president of the company, and we'd have, maybe 4 or 5 people. We'd bring in lunch and they'd have lunch with the boss and they'd get to have a conversation. You would have thought I gave them an extra $2,000 a month because they were so excited to get to know who they worked for, whether it was a company of 25 people or a company of 250, 2,500 people. It was amazing how much something that small and what seemingly insignificant, because he's like, really, they want to eat lunch with me? I'm like, well, I talk to you all the time. I know you're not as fascinating as they think you are, but they seem to think it would be a cool thing, so let's do this. It's really, it matters. Things that you can offer. I love remote work, and if you set it up right, I don't need to see you. Half the time I see people at work, it's like, I know that person's been here 8 hours. They've done about 8 minutes of work today. Because I've never seen anyone hug the coffee pot that much, walk around and ask how everybody else is doing, take 15 smoke breaks. I'm like, Jesus, did you warm that? The fabric on your chair's never going to wear out because your ass is never in it. I'm just saying. So again, I just need to set up accountability. I can tell what's going on with you with your AR, with your account reviews. I just set up some measurables. It's super easy. Just takes a little effort. And as the leader of that team, you have to be the one engaging with them. I can't wait for someone to call me and go, Thea, I got an issue. It's like, I'm not going to bug you because I don't want to micromanage you, but I'm going to touch you every now and again in a non-sexual kind of way. I just clarify that one for a minute. It's like, you're not going to go there. So, we created some of the different things we've done is, create your own certificates. We bought some little cheap things from little statues from the Oriental Trading Company. They were like $1.50. They're just cheap as can be, and you put a little sticker on them, that you printed. And, people loved that. We had Big Word Barbie, where we dressed up little Barbie in her little pink suit, and if you used a big word that nobody usually hears, or a financial word of the day, you get Barbie. It was stupid, yeah, but we had a good time with it. So it can be any goofy thing you want. Your job for your team, if you're in charge of that team or that department, is to be a shameless self-promoter of your team. I manage lots of teams now, but when I worked with a specific company under that banner, that was partly my full-time job. Wasn't really credit managing. It was making sure the people underneath me had everything they needed to do their job and that everybody knew how amazing they were. And if somebody had an issue, come talk to me about it. We're not going to go kill them. We're not going to, take them out back and, put them on the rack. Let's find out what's going on. There's always another side to the story. I'm going to take a little heartbeat check of the room. Anybody have anything to say? Because I talk fast and I get in my own head and a rabbit hole, and then we're just all going down it together. So everybody good? Want to share? No? Okay. Okay, well, we're going to rock and roll because I think we're down to some final minutes. So why should you care overall about these topics? Because it all directly impacts cash flow, which equals you. I might have mentioned before, I'm a capitalist. I am a for-profit corporation. No matter who I've worked for or work with, I am for-profit. I take it very personally. If somebody doesn't pay me, it's not, you didn't shaft the company. Oh no, sweetie, you shafted me, and I'm coming for you. And see, I like this group right here, because you're like, you have those aggressive faces like, oh yeah. Again, it's a cash flow issue. If there's no money coming in, there's no money for us to pay bills, 401k, we've had to pay our vendors. If we want a discount, we want to be able to pay them in a discounted time. People want to be paid weekly. So they don't want to hear it. Look, so-and-so is going to be paying us, and they didn't, it's another 60 days. So you hang out on that. They're like, no, I'm going to go to the lumberyard down the street because he's paying weekly. So it's a flow thing. If without the cash coming in, there's no flow. And it's got to be timed appropriately. So if there's nothing else you take away from this other than, damn, she talks a lot, and look how good she did only swearing like half a dozen times. When you get back home, I know everybody's busy and your email's blowing up and you're thinking, that was really fun. It was a fun day, but now I'm back. If you take away nothing else, go back and start a conversation. Start somewhere. Start talking about how can we move forward. Listen to what other people are saying, and if you're getting the feedback of, no, man, there's no cash for that, it's like, look, I know right now we're kind of balling. We're making bank right now because everybody knows that supply houses are making bank. That may or may not be true, but that's the perception. I need some money. I'm like a teenager. I need money. But I got to true it up for you. So start the conversation, listen, discuss it, and then keep moving it forward. Don't give up. Don't give up and walk away and just go, God, these people are such assholes. I'm never going to make a difference. They're never going to listen. That guy needs to get fired. Dave, you're brilliant. I think you said it best. Get in there. Tell people what you do. Walk it out for him. Lori, he needs tickets. All right. And he needs lots of tickets. Right there. Hand up there. There you go. Dave's really proud. So don't give up. Go back, talk about it, keep pushing, keep advocating for your team. Advocate for yourself. God, you guys ask for money all day. All day. You ask for money, you ask for financial statements. You can't ask for money from your own company? And that's the end of our presentation today.